Welcome to the Pria Show, where we explore all things data protection. I'm Pria, your AI host created by Design Privacy, here to guide you through the latest trends, hot topics, and crucial decisions in the world of privacy and data compliance. In this episode, we'll be diving into the challenges HR professionals face in identifying the essential skills and competencies required for a data protection officer. Whether you're in HR or simply interested in data protection, you're in the right place. Let's get started. All right, everyone, welcome in. Today, we're really zeroing in on a fascinating little corner of tech, and that's data protection. But with a twist. We're diving deep into Jamaica today and a company called Design Privacy.
Okay.
They've carved out a really fascinating niche for themselves, helping government agencies stay afloat, so to speak, in the world of data security.
Yeah, and it's really interesting who they're focusing on within these organizations, these agencies.
Okay.
HR departments.
Oh, interesting.
So in Jamaica, HR plays a huge role in implementing the Data Protection Act.
Right.
Especially when it comes to appointing those data protection officers, the DPOs.
Makes sense. So they're going right to the source. But before we get into their approach, can we talk about the lay of the land a little bit? Jamaica's Data Protection Act, the DPA, this is still relatively new, isn't it?
Relatively, yeah.
Yeah.
It was modeled after international standards.
Yeah.
So it's really a reflection of this global push towards stricter data protection measures.
Right.
And you might think, well, government agencies, they're not businesses, they're not chasing profit, so how does this all apply?
Right.
But the DPA, it applies to everyone.
Of course. Yeah.
And for these agencies, it boils down to two really crucial things.
Okay.
Public trust
Yeah.
and making sure that their operations are smooth and secure.
That makes a lot of sense, especially in this digital age with, seemingly daily data breaches all over the news. Public trust is everything for governments, right? People need to know that their information is actually being handled responsibly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where Design Privacy's compliance confidence, their big thing,
Yeah.
really clicks.
Yeah.
They understand that it's not just about dodging signs.
Right.
It's about really proving to the public that the government takes data protection seriously.
Right.
It's about building trust, that really strong foundation.
It's like that extra level of reassurance you get knowing that a company or an organization, in this case a government agency, is proactively protecting your data.
Yes.
Not just because they legally have to, but because they care.
Yes.
So about this Data Protection Act.
Right.
Design Privacy's material points out some pretty hefty challenges that these government agencies are facing when trying to comply. They list 6. Some of them, frankly, kind of sound like a recipe for bureaucratic chaos.
Unfortunately, they often are. These are very real challenges, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for agencies that are juggling, tight budgets and a whole bunch of competing priorities.
Sure, like when they talk about uncertainty around compliance.
Right.
Can you imagine trying to follow the rules when nobody actually seems to know what they are or mean?
Yeah.
It's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle where half of the pieces are missing.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good way to put it.
And then there's the whole nightmare of finding actually qualified DPOs.
Yeah.
This document makes it sound like trying to find, a unicorn.
Well, the demand for these skilled data protection professionals, it's just exploded.
Of course, yeah.
Globally. Jamaica's no exception. Finding someone with the right expertise, that's one thing.
Right.
But then on top of that, finding someone who also understands how government operations actually work.
Oh, totally different.
That's a whole other level of complexity.
It's like they need a data security expert, but also somebody who speaks fluent bureaucracy at the same time.
Right, exactly.
And of course, you can't forget the ever-present budget constraints.
Right.
Government agencies oftentimes have to make every single dollar count.
Right.
And DPA compliance, well, that just adds another thing to an already really tight budget.
Exactly. And this is where Design Privacy's focus on providing cost-effective solutions, it becomes really, really essential,
Yeah.
They really get it.
Yeah.
They understand that budgetary limitations, that's a major, major pain point for these agencies. So they've really tried to address that with their approach.
It's like they're trying to build this, fortress to protect citizens' data, but they can barely afford a padlock.
Yeah, it's a really good analogy. And then to make it even more challenging, there's this whole issue of inconsistent implementation, which they highlight.
Right, yeah.
It's almost comical. Even when these agencies are trying to comply with the DPA, there's no guarantee they're doing it correctly.
Oh, wow.
It's like everybody's singing from a different hymn sheet,
Right, yeah, okay, yeah, I get that. But, like, why even bother having a data protection act if everyone's just gonna, like, interpret it differently?
Well, that's where design privacy, that's where they see the opportunity.
Right.
Their strategy is really about bringing clarity and consistency to this whole thing.
Okay.
They emphasize these things called competency models. Think of them like blueprints
Okay.
for what a DPO should actually be.
Okay.
The skills, the knowledge, the experience. And they also really stress aligning with internationally recognized standards like ISO 27018, which, as you know, is like this globally respected framework for managing information security.
Right. Okay, so it's about, like, taking the guesswork out. No more like, well, my DPO different from your DPO.
Exactly.
Everybody's on the same page, singing from the same hymn sheet this time.
Exactly. Yeah, design privacy is all about creating this standardized approach that, even the most bureaucratic agency can follow.
Right.
Speaking of their approach,
Yeah.
let's actually break down their proposed solution.
Okay.
They've got this four-pronged strategy to really tackle these challenges head on.
Okay, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
Okay, so first up,
Yeah?
competency models. We touched on it a little bit, but it's worth really digging in here.
Yeah.
So these models, they get rid of all the ambiguity around what a qualified DPO should look like.
Okay.
No more relying on those vague job descriptions.
Right.
Hoping for the best.
Right. Right.
It's about being really specific.
So it's like a DPO starter kit.
Yeah,
Everything you need to know to build your data protection superhero from scratch.
precisely. They're providing this roadmap for identifying, recruiting, even developing DPO talent within these organizations.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's about setting really clear expectations from the get-go
Right.
and just making sure everyone's speaking the same language.
And that ties in, I'm guessing, directly with their second prong, which is training.
Exactly. Design privacy gets it right. They understand that just having a DPO,
Right.
it's not enough.
Of course not. Yeah.
The whole agency, they need to be on board with data protection best practices.
Right.
So they offer these really cost-effective, on-demand training modules,
Okay.
specifically designed for busy government employees.
Yeah. That's smart because, let's be real, pulling people away from their desks for, like, days of expensive offsite training,
Right.
not exactly feasible in that kind of world.
Exactly. They understand that. You need training that is accessible.
Right.
It's digestible.
Right.
And it fits into their workflow. It doesn't disrupt it.
It doesn't completely derail everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got clear competency models. We've got targeted training. What's next?
The third prong is about giving these DPOs the tools they need to actually do their jobs well.
Okay.
Think of it as their operational arsenal, right?
Okay.
So this could be things like templates for policies,
Okay.
tools for doing risk assessments,
Okay.
maybe even like software to map out where their data is.
So it's like giving them like a data protection toolkit, essentially.
Exactly. They need to
Yeah.
actually build that robust data security posture.
Right.
And design privacy, they're not just telling agencies what to do.
Yeah.
They're giving them the tools to actually do it.
To make it happen.
Right. Exactly.
Mm.
And finally, all of this leads to the fourth prong,
Okay.
the compliance confidence.
Yeah. Right. That, like everything's finally in its place. Everything's secure. We can all relax,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about getting away from that fear, of breaches and fines and public scrutiny. It's about peace of mind,
Yeah.
knowing you're doing things right. And that's huge for an agency's reputation, for their image.
It makes total sense. And what I think is interesting is design privacy. They're not all talk, right? They're offering that free download of their competency model, right, on their website.
Yeah.
So they're really trying to, it seems like, position themselves as the resource for Jamaican government agencies trying to navigate all of this.
It's smart, right? Offer something valuable up front. Build that trust. It's like they're saying, we get it. You're facing this huge challenge. Let us help.
And this tailored approach, right, focusing on a specific niche like this, it makes you wonder, are we going to see more of this hyper specialization in data protection going forward?
It's a good question. As these regulations get more and more complex, and every industry is facing its own data challenges, having that focus could be what sets companies like design privacy apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just knowing data protection generally. It's about knowing the ins and outs of a specific sector.
It's like the difference between having like a general practitioner and then a specialist.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that expert, that person who speaks your language, who gets your world,
Exactly. And that's what's so interesting about design privacy's approach, I think. They've found a need And they've created a solution specifically to meet that need. So, whether or not they become the gold standard, it remains to be seen. But they're definitely asking the right questions.
Yeah.
They're pushing the industry in an interesting direction.
Food for thought, for sure. Well, there you have it, folks. A deep dive into the world of data protection, Jamaican style.
Yeah.
We talked about the challenges, the solutions. We even pondered the future a little bit.
And I think if there's one big takeaway here, it's that data protection, it's not one size fits all.
Right.
As the regulations change, as data becomes even more important to all of us, finding those niche experts, that might be the key to really staying ahead and protecting what matters.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So next time you hear about data protection, don't just think about, big tech and social media.
Right.
Remember those government agencies, those HR departments, all those people working behind the scenes to keep your data safe.
Absolutely. And hey, if you're ever curious about what it's like to be a DPO in Jamaica, well, you know where to find us.
That's right. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure. Thanks for tuning into the Pria Show, where we dive deep into the world of data protection. See you in the next episode. In this episode, we explore the DPO Competency Framework, a model designed to help HR professionals recruit the right data protection officer DPO. If you're responsible for ensuring compliance with the Data Protection Act, this framework is an invaluable tool. Don't forget to check the description below and click the link to download the DPO Competency Framework for free. Equip your team with the knowledge they need to stay compliant and protect your organization.